the day.
Right, so let's start off. And this, we are focusing in on the business of a new political party. Do you think Patricia de Lille's newly formed political party, Good, will offer a viable alternative in the country's political landscape? So that's what we're asking you this morning. In fact, she's going to be our guest as well. We'll be chatting to her at around about 6:35, so do stay tuned for that. Should be an interesting conversation. So that's what we're asking you. The
Absolutely.
New party on the block called Good. Are we voting for Good? Good party? Good feelings?
A lot
What
of
do you
yesterday
think?
wondering about the name Good.
Yeah.
How do you end up with the name Good? But we'll ask Patricia de Lille. But also, at Morning Live SABC, that's where you can send us your responses. But if you have a question for Patricia de Lille about Good, then send that to us as well, and we'll try and squeeze it out.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. Let's go. In fact, I think when we interviewed her the first time, I think you weren't here that morning, and I'm trying to remember in the back of my head, she let it slip a name. And I think it was Positive. It was something along those lines. So, and then I said, don't you think they would make a good name for a political party? And obviously that's the lines that she was going on. So,
you know what? Good is a lot better than positive.
I think so.
say.
Yeah. No, I think let's not talk about that. Okay. Stories of the day. So, as much as all of us are feeling in a holiday-ish mood, I don't know, it's time to sort of end the year, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happening.
And these are some of the top stories to follow today. City of Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba and his predecessor Park Stow, they will head to the South Gauteng High Court over defamation charges laid by Mashaba.
Public Service and Administration Minister Ayanta Tlotlo visits the Lebombo border post to assess the state of the facility as it gets ready to manage immigration services during the festive season.
3 suspects convicted for the 2017 OR Tambo International Airport heist will be sentenced in the South Gauteng High Court.
Okay, those are your stories to look out for today. But what happened this weekend, and what a weekend it was. Let's put up the trending topics, because I think Twitter was on fire yesterday, and for many reasons. So let's begin with Global Citizen Festival SA. That was all the rage. I mean, what an event. You saw it in the news. I'm sure you watched it on the SABC.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, listen, I can give you a bird's eye view of what it was like sitting in that stadium. As much as I was watching it on television before I got there, but when I got into that stadium, I've never been, I mean, listen, I was bouncing, I actually started jumping in that crowd, especially when Casper Nyovest got on that stage. Oh my gosh.
You know what I thought about Casper Nyovest?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been in this situation whereby you have an artist that gets onto stage and they start dancing, and as you say, people start bouncing.
Yes.
And even if you can't dance and you can't bounce, you just want to.
I know. I felt like I needed to. Everyone else was jumping around me, so I was like, okay, I've got to jump. This is the moment for me to jump. But it was incredible inside that stadium. And then when Beyonce walked on that stage, I didn't think that I would hear after that from the screaming of the crowds and the feeling and the vibe of just being in a stadium. And the music royalty came onto that stage, and that, of course, is the Carters.
The Carters.
That's another trending topic. Although people were not very happy with the Carters after it was sort of came out that apparently it was Beyonce's request that they only show 25 minutes of their performance live. The rest of it shut down, and nobody could watch it, and people were very upset about that.
That was put out quite early in the day, though, so, I think people were just so caught up in the moment that it didn't sink in until it actually happened. But yeah, that was the request.
It was, and it was very, not nice for viewers, but I...
Costume changes?
Oh my gosh, when she got on those stages and you saw the costumes that she wore. You can absolutely understand the whole vibe behind why people worship Beyonce. I mean, when she goes on that stage and when she performs and what she looks like, she is a package that you actually can't create a package like that.
The moment for me was when she did Ave Maria in that pink. That was a moment.
The tears were, and there were a lot of tears there last night. I mean, it was incredible.
Crazy, as you can see, the crowd there. They were absolutely enthralled.
If you were awake, and if you are awake, because I think people actually forgot that today's Monday and a working day in South Africa. If if you are awake and you were there, please let us know. What did you think? And if you were watching it on television, how you felt and what that all meant for you. But unfortunately, we ended on a negative note because that is why. I mean, look what is number one literally is Cecil. Now, the reason is not because of anything other than the fact that there was what appeared to be an organized crime syndicate that caused absolute havoc at the Cecil garage on Nasrec. And the stories that I am reading on Twitter are horrific. There were gunshots, there were stabbings, there were muggings, there were people that were literally running for their lives. So, I mean, I don't know where the police were, because when I walked back to my car, and I can honestly say that when my husband's phone was stolen as well. But I explained the story to you. He was clever enough to realize what had happened, and he grabbed the guy before he left and got the phone back. But this is what was going on. So it didn't matter where you were. There were so many police going in, but when we were coming out in the dark of night, I never saw any police.
That was an absolute fail on the part of law enforcement, because I was speaking to the kids, because they went on my tickets.
I know, on your behalf, I know.
Anyway, as they were coming out, and I was speaking to my son, and he said to me, "Mommy, they're grabbing people's phones, so I'm out." And fortunately, 5 minutes later, I got a text from them saying, "We're in an Uber, we're on our way home." So that was good. Thank God.
It was a nightmare. It was and I am sorry for anybody who experienced that, because that was unacceptable. And where were the police? I asked that again. So they protect you on your way in to make sure that people don't get in if you are not invited and you don't have a ticket. But on your way out, you're on your own. Sorry for you. AFCON.
Oh, man. Banyana. I mean, and they coming in this morning.
How exciting.
I cannot tell you how elated I am. Of course, they didn't win. Nigeria won the title, but Banyana, they played their hearts out. And we're talking about the Women's World Cup, and the visuals there are not about this, but I want to talk about the Women's World Cup, because they ended runners-up. And of course, they have qualified to go to the Women's World Cup in France on the strength of their performance at the AFCON Women's competition. So they are coming in later. Desiree Ellis will be coming in. Not sure who she's bringing in. Valen will tell us, but hopefully the captain.
Oh, the captain. Apparently she is bringing the captain. And I think AFCON is trending because of the possibility that South Africa may now take over as hosts. Is it Cameroon? Help me out here. Who was meant to host it?
Cameroon.
It is Cameroon.
Was it Cameroon?
Yeah. And it was taken away from Cameroon.
Who were meant to host, and for some reason they can't fulfill those obligations, and it may come our way again.
Okay. Adrian Besson also trending. You have to forgive me. I was in another world yesterday.
Weren't we all?
And I think there was just another unfortunate attack on I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it, but I think it's. I'm going to speak out of turn. Do you have any idea?
No, but I think you're right in terms of another attack, EFF and the journalists and all of that. So it's ongoing. So
it's something to do
we are going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, lots to talk about on this Monday morning regarding, of course, what's been trending on social media.